Hi, I'm Chanel, a UK-based digital marketing consultant, and I've worked with some of the world's biggest brands on their paid social media activity, such as Johnson & Johnson, Accenture and A&E Networks. I've also had the pleasure of working with a number of SME brands and helping them to understand the power that social media can have on their business. And today I hope to do the same for you. There are 3 key things that I want to cover in today's session. Number 1, how to figure out which social media channel is right for you and your business. Number 2, how to create the perfect profile that attracts the right customers and sells your unique selling point. And finally, I'm going to teach you how I come up with content ideas for my customers using 3 key questions.
This course consists of 2 elements, the learning and the exercises. It's all well and good me teaching you the strategies of how to have a successful social media profile, but without knowing how to put them into action is going to be pretty difficult. There are 3 exercises on this course, each acting as a building block to you having a successful social media profile. Each exercise requires a level of understanding of your business and your social media objectives. I'd encourage you to address these 3 questions before you start any of the learning and the exercises. Why is now the right time to invest in your social media strategy? What are you trying to gain from using social media? And who is your target audience? If you don't already know the answers to these questions, I'd encourage you to pause the video now and have a think before starting the course. Great. Now you've had a thought about those questions, let's get started. The first section we'll be looking at is social media channels. The term channel simply means the medium by which you may communicate with your target audience. So these will consist of the various different social media platforms that we have available as of present. So I've displayed some of the most traditional ones here: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn and Twitter. Each social media channel has a clear purpose, a hear about core audience and features that are specific to that channel. So let's start off with Facebook. So Facebook is a fairly old social media channel. It has one of the biggest reaches and is mainly used by Generation X. So these are our 25 to 44 years old. And the main purpose of Facebook was to build communities and to connect people around the world. And we know that it's normally used to stay connected to friends and family. The great thing about Facebook is it has a mass audience. Therefore, you'll be able to find about any person on Facebook. Most people have a Facebook profile. One of the downsides of Facebook is that we know that people don't tend to use Facebook as much as they used to, but most people will have an account whether it's active or not. Instagram we know is more of a visually pleasing channel. It's used by a lot of creatives to show off their work. It is really great for brands to kind of show their brand identity in a visual way, connect with their audience. It's heavily based around people following content, liking content and sharing it. And one of the features of Instagram, obviously it has its stories. At this point, it's also good to note that Facebook and Instagram are actually owned by the same company. So Facebook own Instagram, and therefore when it comes to running anything like paid ads or you even do the organic profile, it's possible for you to post across Facebook and Instagram. You'll see the same with stories, and I know that Reels you can actually post on your Facebook account as well. So I'd encourage you, if you are thinking about having an Instagram account, to have some kind of Facebook presence. Some of the key features of both obviously is Facebook Watch. You have Instagram stories and Instagram Reels, so they're all based around short form video content. And then Facebook Watch, you can watch slightly long form content, as you'll see with examples of the Red Table Talks. That's a longer series that is exclusive to Facebook. And we are also seeing Facebook competing with the likes of YouTube at the moment, where they have that longer form content and people are actually able to watch this on their smart TVs and smart devices now as well. The next one I move on to is LinkedIn. So LinkedIn has a clear purpose, which is around connecting people in the business world. So it's very much around the B2B space, connecting with professionals who mainly go on here to talk about their work. So this will be really great for anyone who has any businesses that focus around somebody having a high disposable income. So you'll see a lot of designer ads on LinkedIn as well as B2B. So the easiest answer to say is that if you are a B2B business or you're looking to connect with professionals or other businesses, then LinkedIn is the place for you. So you can connect with the C-suite, so business owners or people on the senior leadership team, and anyone looking for a job. So if you're in recruitment, this is a great platform to be in. And if you're a freelancer, this is also a really, really great platform to be on. Some of the key features of LinkedIn. So we've seen recently that you're able to host podcasts and video live series on LinkedIn now, which is a really, really pushing area on LinkedIn. Able to have a really long profile. So one of the key things about LinkedIn is you can actually have a longer profile or bio than you normally have on the likes of Facebook or Instagram. And then finally, they've just introduced LinkedIn Stories, so very similar to Instagram and Facebook. Finally, we've got Twitter. So Twitter is all based around people having strong opinions, and it's all about real-time discussion. So you go to Twitter to talk about events that are happening in the media. You're looking for news maybe. So Twitter is actually one of the biggest news platforms where people will go for new news. It's all around viral content, and it all happens in real time. So this has quite a broad audience, but you know that you're limited to only a certain amount of characters when you send out posts as well. So bear that in mind. So now we move to a more tailored experience around social media. So we've got the new emerging social media channels, which is TikTok and Snapchat. So a very, very heavy Gen Z audience for both of these, and mainly based around video content, and Snapchat can be static images. So let's start off with TikTok. So fairly new platform, all around the creator and community kind of feel. Short form, snappy content. So we're talking anything less than 15 seconds. Really great to share viral content, very much based on user generated content. A little bit like YouTube, but short form, short, snappy, viral videos with a target audience, or let's say core audience, around 16 to 24 year olds, and even so less. So a lot of the data that I've included here will be anything above 16 plus, just because of data and research guidelines around researching young people. But you actually find that there'll be a lot of young teenagers on the site, from anywhere from 11 and upwards. So if you've got a very heavily audience that skews towards the younger people, then you definitely want to be on TikTok. Then you've got Snapchat. So Snapchat, again, with Gen Z, communications platform, talking to your friends, but also we're seeing that emergence of that short form content and news as well. News is a massive thing on Snapchat. So you're seeing news channels having their own accounts on Snapchat and engaging with their audience. All around short form content similar to TikTok, and visually pleasing as well. That short form, snappy content, short and sweet. It's a bit of a difficult one for brands to use. I think it's a really great way to connect with the audience on a personal level, but when it comes to having ads, it can be quite hard for smaller businesses. So definitely a great one to connect in real time with your audience, but maybe not so much for paid ads for smaller brands, but definitely one to be considered, especially if you're looking for that Gen Z audience. And then finally, we move on to the final three, which are Pinterest, Google, and YouTube. Now, the reason why I've grouped these together is because they're not actually considered social media channels. These are search engines. People come to search for content, search for ideas on these platforms. They do not generally socially interact with people. Now, you can obviously go to Pinterest and you can obviously use YouTube to interact with people, but it's a different form of medium. People go here to search. Now, Pinterest is a search engine. This is all around discovery and imagining for the future. People come to Pinterest to plan for their futures and plan for new lifestyles. If somebody is going through some kind of change in their life, whether it's getting a new job, moving house, having a wedding, having a baby, they go to Pinterest to plan out their lives. It is a digital mood board. Now, people go here to discover new ideas and new themes, and very much creatively as well. It's a creative pin board. Hence why the audience target is definitely skewed towards females. We love to go on Pinterest and plan out our lives, plan out our weddings, plan out our fitness routine. That is where people go to Pinterest. They also are heavily skewed towards the audience of 25 to 34, so that mid audience there. And like I said, they go here to plan for their lives and their futures and their aspirations. That's what Pinterest is for. Now, brands that would be best suited to this place are brands who can creatively show products or tap into some of the key areas that are happening on Pinterest around food and planning for weddings and anything that kind of taps into a key event. So if you sell a product that will be helpful for somebody around a key event in their life and you can creatively display that, then Pinterest is the one for you. Now, on to Google. So, Google has a mass audience. It is for the masses. You can find anything and everything on Google. So, if you are able to set up a Google My Business account and display your business on Google, whether you've got a physical location or not, then I suggest you do that. When it comes to paid ads later on down the line, you have a mass audiences. So, two things that you should be considering are search engine optimization, SEO, and PPC, which is pay per click. So search engine optimization is essentially you having content on your website, which means that Google is more likely to show you on the page when people are searching for you. And PPC is the paid part of Google where you would pay to be shown higher up on the page. Now, that is essentially the plainest and simple way of me describing that. And if you want to learn more about that, then I suggest you look at the Google Fundamentals digital course. I won't be covering either of these in the course, and they aren't considered social media marketing, but they are considered digital marketing. So if you're interested in that, definitely have a look into it. Now, finally, is YouTube. So YouTube is considered a search engine. It's actually one of the biggest search engines out there. So Google actually has 95% of the share, and then YouTube is up next when it comes to searches. Like 95% of market share, people go to Google before they go to any other search engine. Again, similar with Facebook and Instagram. So YouTube is actually owned by Google, so if you didn't know that, they are under the same ecosystem, have the same audiences as well. So back to YouTube. So search engine, it's all around long form content, longer videos that are around where people can come and learn new stuff. So if you're looking for a new product, people will go to YouTube and they might say review of X product. So maybe think about how you might utilize YouTube in your strategy. But like I said, these channels aren't considered social media channels, they are search engines, so just bear that in mind.
So now you understand what social media channels are out there and the type of audiences they attract, you can start to think about the first exercise. So I want you to pick one social media channel, and I want you to explain why that social media channel is right for you and one of your audiences. And I also want you to give me one specific type of content that you can create on that channel and why that would be engaging for your audience.
This next section, we'll be looking at how to create the perfect profile. First things first, your image. So every single profile, you will have an image that you can use on your profile, or your bio, or whatever it be. There will be a place for you to put an image. Now, depending on what your objectives are, obviously go back to the questions of what you've addressed when I first asked you at the start of this course, what's the goal? So if it's for a business, then you definitely want to have your logo here. If you don't have a logo, then I'd consider using things like Canva or Photoshop, or any other kind of Adobe platform, or some kind of platform where you can create your own logo or have some kind of brand identity that showcases your brand on your image. So your brand is your visual identity. This is how you're going to make a first impression online. So you need to make sure it's eye-catching. It really, really shows your values. It really, really shows what the business is about. And if for some reason that you're not working on social media for your business, it's around an individual or you're a freelancer and you are the business, then I suggest maybe taking a really nice professional photo of yourself, a headshot, a nice white background of you looking professional, ready to work with or ready to interact with your target audience, something that your target audience will resonate with. So it goes back to that first question I asked you, like, who's your target audience and who do they want to see in that image? And if it's not you, then really use things like Unsplash. So Unsplash is a website where you can get royalty-free images from, so you can use them in your social media content without worrying about copyright. Some of them will have limitations based on if you're reselling that photo or selling the product, so have a look at the rules of each photo, but the majority of them are royalty-free, so you don't need to worry about it. So say you're a cupcake business and you want to showcase some cupcakes, you're just starting out, you can go and find a picture of cupcakes and then have that as your image, just something that represents you, your business, your profile, or what it is that you're offering on the social media profile that ties back into your objectives. So the most important section of your profile is your bio. So each channel will have their own specific character count or specific features of the bio, but here are some of the principal things that you should consider in all of them. all of the channels here shown on the left of the screen will all have some consistency or some type of bio that you can type in. So Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, especially LinkedIn has a massive section for a bio. TikTok, Pinterest, they all have a section for you to have a bio. Now, majority of the character count for the bio is 150 to 160 characters, with the exception of LinkedIn, which has a longer section for your summary, and TikTok, which only has 80 characters, I believe, that you can have within the bio. So bear that in mind. So within this character count, within this bio, what you want to talk about is you and your business. What is your unique selling point? What is one thing that you do above your competitors or above anyone else's social profile? Why are they coming to you over somebody else that's like you? So you really want to sell that. So number one, what it is that you do, your unique selling point, and one action you want that person to take as a result of going into your profile. So then we move on to the category. So some will have an element where you can add what your category is. So that will save some of the word count. So I know on Instagram and Facebook, you're able to say what category, and whether you're a creator, whether you're, in food, whether you're in tech, whether you're in freelancing or whatever it be that you do, you're able to add a category. So that's already an indication as to what it is that you do for your business or what it is that you're offering as part of your social media account. The next part is your contact info. So a lot of the bios will have an area where you can put contact information. So that's one less thing that you need to include in your 150 to 160 characters. So you can add that in elsewhere. The next thing you want to do is have a call to action. So for Facebook and for Instagram, there's a section for you to add call to action buttons when you have a business page. So you don't really need to include that in your character count, but you might put more information on the website, or contact me via email to book an appointment, rather than DMing you. I know that's a lot of things that people use. So you want to have a call to action there at some point. So what's the lasting thing that you want somebody to leave? So if they're on your profile, they've looked at it, what's the next action you want them to take? Now tell them, is it booking an appointment with you? Is it going to your website? Is it emailing you for more details? What is it that you want them to do? What is it that you want them to look at? Is it looking at your YouTube video? Like, what is the call to action that's going to lead to that next part in the funnel for your customer, for your audience? What do you want from them? And that kind of ties back to that initial question I asked around what your objectives are for social media. Like, what are you trying to gain? Maybe think about that when you're thinking about what your call to action might be. And the next key thing to consider is make sure that you're including some form of personality in your account, whether it's the font that you use. So there are a lot of plugins that you can use on Instagram that help you change the fonts in your bio. That's something that's going to help you to stand out. Is it the use of emojis? So instead of using up all your character count to talk about your business, how about you throw in an emoji that perfectly describes you? The cheekiness, having an emoji really can help to elevate that kind of personal touch to your audience. And finally, is there a theme? Is there a kind of theme on your profile? So is it the colors that you use on all of your images? Is it the font? Is there a reoccurring theme that you can include in your bio? But not only in your bio, this is an extension of your content. Now, as we go into the next section, I'll talk a little bit more about the generic content, but think about when you're creating that content, have a theme. It might link back into the colors that are in your logo, the fonts that you use. Have a think about what that theme might be and keep it consistent throughout. So that's my biggest advice. Whatever you do on your social media channels, whether you have 1, 2 or 3, you want to make sure that you're consistent throughout and it's got a clear branding so people are able to recognize you and your brand or your personal image.
So this next exercise is a little bit different. This time I want you to think about your elevator pitch. So often you would have pitched about your business, you would have talked to people about what it is that you do. So write down your elevator pitch, a 30-second to a 1-minute pitch about your business. Look at some of the key things that you've included in there and how they might make you stand out over your competitors. Now take that elevator pitch and apply it to your profile. What is the one key thing that you can do over your competitors, your unique selling point? How can you incorporate that on your profile? Could it be in an emoji? Could it be in something that you say? What is the next step that you want somebody to take once they've gone into your profile? Is it to book in a call with you? Is it to make an appointment? Read your newsletter? Go onto your website? What is it? What is that key action you want them to take? And how might you incorporate that in your profile in the ways that I've already discussed?
Congratulations for making it this far through the course, and well done for getting to the third and final section of this course, which is around content. Now, I know that each and every single one of you has been gunning and waiting for this section, because this is the number one question that I get from all of my clients, which is, how do I create content for my social media channel? I just don't have any time to create content. I don't know what to create content about. How do I get more likes on my content? What should I say? What should I do? When should I post? These are all the kind of questions that I get from my clients, and I hope that this section can really answer just some of those questions and really get you started with content, because content is queen. Content is queen. Now, your content is what's going to keep your followers. It's going to get you followers. It's going to retain followers. And all you need to do is focus on these 3 key areas that you can create content around, and you will always be thinking of more content ideas. Just think back to make sure that you're fulfilling at least one of these 3 categories. Now, I know when I do audits of my clients, everyone is doing at least maybe one, maybe even a few. The great people are doing at least 2 of these things, but there's always one thing missing. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So the first area is something that most people tend to do very, very well. It's the hard sell. It's you talking about your product, selling it to your customers, doing promotions. It's you talking about what it is you exactly do. So this could be, an image of your product, an image of you completing your service, a promotion. It could be you introducing the business. It's the hard sell. It's you telling people more about your product. Now, this is so important because this is the main reason that you've got a social media channel. If I think back to some of your objectives, your objective would be to sell more products, to get more clients, to make more money. And that's where the hard sell comes in. Now, often so many people forget about this. They're too busy talking to their audience. They're too busy talking about stuff they're interested in. They actually forget to do it. And it can be quite uncomfortable talking about what it is you're selling. But just remember, go back to that key objective of the social media channel is to attract more customers, is to get people to your website. The hard sell essentially is your number one objective of having the social media channel. Area number 2 is helping your customers. Now, this is a little bit more complex. This is you posting content that is directly to help your customers. It's got no ulterior motive. It's not about you selling your products. It's you talking about your experiences, something that you're very good at talking about, and it's helping your customers. It's free content to them. They don't need to do anything to get it. They get it for free. So if I think about some of the people that I interact with on social media on a daily basis, it could be other freelancers. It could be other people in marketing. Now, often what they'll do is they'll share top tips. So top 5 things that social media marketers should be doing with their clients. Now, this person might sell a course on being the amazing freelancer, but this is a free resource that's available to me for nothing. Now, what this does is this gets a reoccurring customer. What it says to your customer is, wow, these guys really know what they're talking about on this specific area. They are somebody that I would tend to invest in the future because I know they know about their subject. What this also says to somebody who doesn't already know about your business is that you have a free resource. We as humans love things that are free. So we will always keep coming back to this page because we know it's got free, helpful content that I'm going to like. And then maybe later on down the line, I might choose to invest in that person. I might choose to buy their products. But essentially, I know that this page is great because they're posting really great content, and therefore I'm going to follow them. It's great. So this is all around content that's going to help your customers. This last area is so simple, but yet something that people miss so much. Engage with your customers, talk to them, talk about them, engage with them. It is so simple. Just be able to like a picture, to reply to a message, to share something. Often your customers are going to come to you, they're going to message you questions, they're going to want to have queries about products. They might even share an image of your product, and often people don't even share those images. They don't show that there's a real person behind that brand or behind the account. So it's so important and so simple. It could just be replying to emails. It could be spending 10 minutes a day just going through the newsfeed and liking pictures, liking content from your clients and your customers. It makes somebody feel like there's a human really behind the brand. So one of the clients that I work with, they sell wallets, and once a month they pick one person who shared an image of their wallet and they just refund them for their order as a thank you for saying, you know, thank you for talking about our brand, thank you for sharing such a creative photo of our wallets. Now we're going to repost that and we're also going to refund you for your order. Now this creates loyal customers. It also amplifies the message about your brand. So if somebody is loving your product and you're shouting about how somebody loves your product, somebody new that comes to your account is going to see that and think, wow, this brand is really great, their customers love their products, I'm also going to invest. So it's a great way to create a nice connection with your audience and keep up to date with them and speak to them and understand their wants and their needs, and you'll be able to use that and develop your business by using that information. But it's also a really great way to rave about how great your brand and your business is by using people who are already actively your customers. So that's it. That's simple. These 3 key areas that you can be creating content around. The hard sell. So these are posts around you just talking about your product and service. You have help your customer. These are helpful tips and tricks and content that are going to help your audience. And once you really understand who your audience is, you'll be able to think about ideas and content that's really going to resonate with that audience. For example, if you sell a subscription box that sends out cake baking equipment, that person might also be interested in baking bread. They might also be the type of people that do a lot of exercise. You could talk about that. You could talk about healthy eating. Now, this isn't something that you directly sell, but it's something that's going to help your customers. And then finally, engaging with your customers. So talking to them, replying to comments, being cheeky, making a lovely little joke, liking their photos, and most of all, sharing when they're talking about your brand, showing that brand loyalty to your new customers and people that have just arrived on your page. So it really, really is that simple. 3 key areas you can create content around, and I promise you, you're missing at least one of them, if not all.
See, it's not that hard, I promise. Now, this final exercise will really get you going with your social media content strategy. So I'd encourage you to look at all of the 3 key areas that I've described in that video, and I want you to think about one specific piece of content that you could create that answers that area. So for each key area, come up with one content idea. And remember, it doesn't always have to be an original post. It doesn't always have to be a blog post or a long timely consuming thing. It could just be a poll. It could just be you sharing a bit of advice. But just remember, every time that you repost content, make sure to give the original author credit by tagging them and letting people know that you've reposted it or you've shared someone else's content. So that's that question again. 3 key pieces of content around some of those areas that I've discussed in the last video.
So that's it. We've come to the end of the course. So today we've spoken about the social media channel. So you now know which social media channel was right for you and your business. Go with 1 or 2 for now and then build on that. Don't be overwhelmed. Just choose 1 or 2, get it done really, really well, and then branch out. Then we know how to create the perfect profile. Your brand visual, your brand's identity visually is so important. So make sure you have a great image that shows off your brand, and your bio includes your unique selling point and a really great call to action showing some of that personality. Then finally, we talked about why content is queen, and we spoke about which 3 areas you should be basing your content around. You know, the hard sell, information that your customers are going to find really, really helpful, and then engaging with your customers. Really 3 very, very simple areas that you can create content around.
So that's it. I hope I've answered all of your questions in this video. If you have any other questions pertaining to this course, please don't be afraid to reach out using my details in this video. Thank you, and the best of luck with the rest of your social media journey. It's not as hard as you think.